Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of Vehicles Analyzed, a series about the basic characteristics of different combat vehicles. We're going to focus less on the realistic part, but more on how the vehicle is realized in game. I will show you how you can utilize the vehicle to its full potential, or exploit its weaknesses in a combat scenario. Today's vehicle is the Rhino mobile gun system. It is equipped with a 120mm smoothbore cannon and has various types of ammunition. 12 AP FSDS rounds, 8 heat multi-purpose rounds, 8 high explosive rounds, and 4 Merkur ATGM laser-guided missiles with a range of up to 8 kilometers. The gunner has also access to a .338 medium machine gun with almost 800 rounds. The commander on the default variant only comes with a laser designator. On the up variant, however, he's also equipped with a 12.7mm machine gun with almost 400 rounds, in combination with its smoke screen, that can be deployed 2 times. The driver comes pretty much empty-handed, but he still has the headlights and a horn to annoy people, and of course he has the vehicle itself to run people over. The vehicle comes with a top speed of 122 km on even terrain, has a 60-liter fuel capacity, but that is more than plenty for many hours of use. The vehicle also comes with a bad habit of having troubles climbing mountains. At 45 degrees it's about 4 to 5 km per hour, and because the hull is very low and the vehicle is pretty low on the ground, it also has troubles at climbing over smaller obstacles. But the vehicle also comes with a sensor system that has 4 km range, and it can be used to share data link information between other vehicles. The cargo can take up to 3,000 kilograms in its inventory. The vehicle itself is based on the Rui Cat, I hope I pronounced that correctly, armored fighting vehicle, and is usually found in South Africa. Now that we cover the basic traits of the vehicle and its performance, we are going to take a closer look at its armor layout. Now, what are we seeing here? We are seeing 3 pictures of the Rhino from the front. On the left, I created a graphic of it and its protection against 12.7mm armor-piercing rounds. This is usually found in the GM6 Lynx, the op-4 sniper rifle. And in the first image you will also already see the positioning of the important modules of the vehicle, so to speak the gunner, the commander here in the left, and the driver in the front. If the engine is also visible from that side, it will be also displayed. Now the different colors indicate red for you're pretty much unlikely to penetrate at all, or the round will just most likely bounce, or you're not going very far there. Orange just usually means penetrations. It's something between 50% and 10% of the vehicle distance. So if you shoot, for example, here into the front with a 30mm armor piercing round, you will get somewhere between 10 and 50% into the vehicle. Of course, it's just an estimation. To cover the whole range of different penetration depths would be too complicated, so it's just simplified to these 3 different values. The color yellow pretty much just displays the over penetration. It means your round will pretty much go straight through, will not lose much energy, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, now what are we seeing here? Again, on the left, we have the protection against 12.7mm, and you're pretty much not able to penetrate the vehicle anyway. The crew is completely protected. The only thing that you can actually go through is maybe some edges and, of course, the periscopes of the vehicle, but I don't think you can actually destroy them. Now, looking at the 30mm armor piercing rounds in the center here, we actually have the ability to penetrate some of the vehicle. Now, on the front, of course, we are able to penetrate the vehicle, but the distance to the driver is actually pretty far. In a later pic, I will probably show you more about that. Or actually, let's go to the top view real quick, and we can see the driver is actually quite far back. So if you're going to penetrate the vehicle somewhere in the front here, it is very unlikely that you will actually penetrate the whole distance and reach the driver. Now, if you actually aim for this location, just the upper edge of this plate here, let's go back to the first image of this plate here, you will actually be able to reach the gunner, so for example the driver. So this is a pretty good weak spot to kill the driver if you just roughly aim for this area. Of course, it's not easy, and it only works effectively at close range. However, the driver is usually not your main goal. You actually want to go for the gunner. Now, the gunner is actually a lot further left than you might expect from the indication of the hatch. If you look from the top view, the hatch is actually here, but the gunner is pretty much on the level with the gun bridge, pretty much. So, taking a look at the first image again, we want to go for the head here, right? But as you can see, this plate is very angled, so the only chance we actually have is going for this very small spot here. Now, actually, I want to demonstrate that. For that, we will quickly jump in game and we'll take a spin with the Gorgon here. And I will demonstrate it on this Rhino. This Rhino version is currently disabled, or the animation simulation is disabled on it, so you will not be able to destroy it. But it's very good to test the vehicle again. Again, we will use the debug tool dialog toggle shots. Now, we actually want to aim exactly for this small spot here. And for that, you might need some training from time to time. But if you put multi rounds in there, we can actually take a closer look real quick. And you can actually see that the rounds cut through the armor here and penetrate deep into the vehicle. But if you aim too high, you can clearly see that the rounds will just bounce off the upper armor. Let's go quickly back to the image. And this is indicated by the red plate. So if you hit the red plate, it will most likely just ricochet up and will not penetrate. Also, just below the red plate, again, you will most likely ricochet and not penetrate. So the only chance you actually can kill the commander and the gunner are these two small spots here. So that might need some training. Maybe you want to try it in the editor and see how it goes. Now, for the 120mm, you might actually expect that the APC is easily destroyed, but that is not the case. Especially the sloped armor on top here is bouncing the 120mm quite often. So it's probably a 50-50% chance that you will bounce off of the front of the armor here. However, the lower side is less angled and so easier to penetrate. And that is also displayed here. Of course, the gun pretty much offers no resistance, so as long as you just shoot somewhere on the upper area here, just between these two plates, just in the center of the vehicle, you will most likely penetrate. We can also just take a look at that in the editor. So if you go for the lower side, you will just penetrate the vehicle. But if you go for the upper side, you can get penetrations, but you can also get bounces. Now, it can be luck to get a bounce, like this one here. But again, that's probably some part of RNG, so you should not rely on it, but you can definitely survive in that way. But if you certainly want to kill the vehicle in one-on-one, you gotta go for the lower area, because the chance for you to bounce there is pretty much not existent. Okay, let's go back to the image real quick. Yeah, that's pretty much what we can see from the front. Taking a look on the side armor, however, we're gonna see a bit more detail on this vehicle. Especially against the 12.7mm, we can actually see the engine location now, and we can actually see where the fuel tank is located. This can be pretty important if you're planning to disable just the engine or the fuel tank of the vehicle. The vehicle is still pretty much completely impenetrable by the 12.7mm round. However, the fuel tank at this lower end is pretty close to the surface, so you're actually able to destroy the fuel tank from the side. However, this takes 8 hits, so you need at least 2 magazines at pretty close range into that fuel tank to actually start making a leak. And at that point, it will still take maybe 60 seconds until the vehicle's out of fuel and the crew will bail. So it's probably not worth the risk. However, the engine is protected well enough, so they actually cannot damage it. In the lower part, in the image against 30mm protection, you can actually see that there's an additional metal plate protecting an engine, which is not the case for the fuel tank. So the fuel tank is a lot more vulnerable than the engine is. Taking a closer look at the 30mm protection from the side, you can also see that the area around the driver is actually pretty weakly protected. So if you see where the driver is up here, you just shoot for that area and you're pretty much guaranteed to kill the driver with 1 or 2 shots. We can also just demonstrate that real quick. Okay, we want to go for this side here, so the gun is a bit further to the right. And if you pretty much just shoot in here, you can already see how the rounds go through. And you see there's pretty much no resistance. And this is pretty much displayed with a yellow color here. You will just over-penetrate the vehicle, you will go clean through. But however, for example, if you hit the red triangle or the vehicle wheel, you will not get a penetration. You see, you can shoot as often as you want on that, you're not gonna get a penetration. You can penetrate the wheel, but it acts as spaced armor, so you're not able to go any further after that. Also here, no chance to penetrate. Going back to the image, for example, the lower end here, you can easily penetrate the outer armor, but the interior of the crew is additionally protected by a layer of armor. So you do not only have to go through the outer layer of the armor, but also through the inner layer. And it's orange, so it's actually pretty tricky. You can penetrate it, but to actually reach the gunner is gonna be very tricky. And most of the time the turret will be turned at you, so the gunner and the whole turret will actually turn to the right and will be probably protected by this area here, so it's probably unlikely that you will be able to kill the gunner in this way. The highest chance you might actually have is again to aim for the head. On this side here, if the turret is looking at you from the front, you just go for this spot again, and you will be able to kill the gunner. Of course, also one of the easiest thing you can do if you're not confident in your aim is just to shoot the gun breech here. Again, from the side, the vehicle offers no protection against 120mm APDFSD rounds. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the armor layout. Of course, one thing last to mention would be if you, for example, just hit the yellow spot here with a 120mm round, it will most likely overpenetrate, because you will not do enough damage, you will not hit the interior of the vehicle, so the vehicle will most likely survive if you hit the yellow areas with the 120mm round. So if you want to go for a kill shot, you have to aim somewhere for the center of mass, somewhere around here, that you at least have the best chance of penetrating the vehicle. Okay, and yeah, from the top view, we can also see, for example, that the vehicle is not so well protected from the front. It's quite interesting that the lower plate or the hatchet here to the front, the hatch here to the front, is actually not so well protected. And this layer, this stripe, is pretty interesting to see. The driver cannot be killed from the top. Its hatch, its door is pretty well protected. However, the gunner and the commander can easily be killed. Also quite interesting to see is that the periscopes are actually weak spots, so are the engine intakes on the side. We can also take a quick look at that, how that looks in game. We are going to use the GM6 links for that, and we're going to use the top view. For example, you can easily see that we can actually penetrate into the vehicle from the top. Not very deeply, but that is also indicated by the orange color in the image right here. You can see orange color, so you're not going to over penetrate it, but you can actually achieve penetrations. Of course, here the same is on the gun breech or the gun mantlet. You can actually penetrate it too. However, the driver is pretty much well protected, and you're not going to go through that. And for the periscopes, I'm going to slow it down a bit for that. Depending on the angle, you can actually achieve quite some penetration for that. You can see how the round here penetrated into the vehicle. Of course, not very far, but it's completely different to the outer armor. You can see the outer armor is not even... it's pretty much just ignoring the round. It's not even taking any damage from that. Of course, the same goes for the intakes on the side. You can achieve penetrations here, and you can actually get quite deep into the vehicle. Also, this is a good time to show where the engine is located. The engine is, as shown in the graphic, pretty lowly located, so it's pretty much just this lower area here. Anything above will not damage the engine, so you have to aim for the lower mid-center of the vehicle here from the back to get it. And because of the plate from the side here, you will not be able to go through with an APC. So trying to kill the engine is going to be very tricky on this. So you are definitely easier off killing just the guns and killing the wheels. And yeah, that's pretty much I can say to this. Now let's put what we tested in theory into practice. So I'm gonna play in a BTR and I'm gonna encounter Rhino around the corner. So as long as he doesn't see me coming, I should have pretty good chances to encounter him and see what we can do against him. Okay, I'm gonna move around the corner. Oh, there's the Goryu. There's the Rhino. And with that, the gunner should be knocked out. And the gunner is not knocked out, so we gotta correct that real fast. And let's hope that the gunner is knocked out now. You can also try to go for the commander now. And the vehicle is just running away because his gunner died, so the AI is actually fleeing. I was not able to... Oh, but this is a good chance to knock out the engine, right? Let's see if we can do that. Okay, we knocked down the engine. The commander actually was still alive, but we killed the gunner. We can also quickly verify that. Yep, we can see it. The gunner is dead inside here. And yeah, that was a pretty good demonstration to show you how the vehicle was disabled. I can also quickly show you the damage it did to the vehicle. And let's quickly hop in. We can see that just the turret was knocked out from me shooting at the weak spot, and that the engine was knocked out from shooting the vehicle in the lower area from behind, pretty much this area here. Okay, also, of course, let's just restart this real quick. If you're not confident in shooting the gunner, and sometimes it can be very tricky, it might be wiser to just go for the gun breach. So let's say you're going around the corner again. I'm gonna check the sides here, and then you suddenly see, oh shit, there's an APC. And then you can just go for the gun, and you can just knock out the gun. After that, you can take all the time you need to just go for the killing shots on the gunner. You see, we actually managed to kill the gunner there, and that should be also the commander. We can quickly check. The vehicle sadly already moved, but we can see that both gunner and commander are actually dead. And again, if you go for the side, we might be able to get the driver, but he was too fast for that. So it's pretty much a repetition of the last thingy. We can just go and kill the engine again. Yep, the guy just bailed out. The engine is dead. And yep, you can see how effective this can be. Okay, now in this setup, we're gonna see a bit more the realistic part of the combat, how you usually encounter it in actually PvP. We're gonna jump into the gunner seat. We can already see in the right bottom here the sensor system, and we wanna engage this terminal. But we can already see the first APC over there. He has not spotted us yet, so we have more than enough time to quickly switch to the high explosive round, because the heat round is more than enough to take down APCs. But by default, you should always have armor piercing rounds loaded. And one good thing you can see on this vehicle now is that the gun depression has -10 degrees, so you're actually pretty good at shooting over hills. Now we don't really see a lot. Oh, but we see a tank down there now, so we actually can go for the gun. We're being engaged by the 30mm round, and we actually survived the hit just now. Of course, our vehicle got badly damaged, and we are not so healthy, but we managed to take down, or managed to survive the shot, because it probably bounced off our armor. Now we actually want to take down the tank, but where is he? Somewhere down there, right? Yep, we actually got a hit on that. And you can see how easily you can work with a -10 degree depression, because you can peek so well over hills like this. And this is one of the main reasons why the slammer is so bad, because it has only like -6 or -7 degrees depression, and you really can't work with that. And yep, we just knocked down the gun now, so we can pretty much take all the time we need to finish off this tank. We just go for the upper plate on this angle, we easily penetrate and take him down. But now we actually received intel from our team that we have an enemy main battle tank over here. So we can just laser paint this. Now on the sensor system you will see the laser marker next to our drone. So we just need to switch to the top attack, indicated in the top right here, by switching between normal mode. Normal mode is just the bar, and top attack is the bar with a small triangle in here. Now you pretty much just need to orientate to the general direction of the laser marker and press the target lock button. You can see the white triangle here now where the target is indicated, and at that point you just need to make sure that your missile has a good missile path. Now you can switch to the UAV and see what happens. Now let's observe what exactly happens. For that I'm gonna go into slow-mo, and I'm gonna wait until our missile actually arrives. Let's hope I'm fast enough to stop the time, if that actually happens. Okay, now we actually have the missile hitting the turret somewhere on the right. But as you can see, it just scraps the turret because it actually overshoots. The laser marker is somewhere around here, but the missile always tends to overshoot by around 1 meter. So if you paint in the center, the missile will actually hit 1 meter behind that. So in this case, you just scrap the turret and hit the outer armor. Of course, it's not going to do much to a modern main battle tank because it's not a direct hit. I think we actually triggered even explosive reactive armor here. So the damage was probably even reduced further. The T140K also have explosive armor on the top, so he's protected to some degree. But that's not our problem right now. Let's just redo this, and let's take a second shot and see how we can effectively take down this T100. With the knowledge that the laser designator is not always spot on. So if you actually want to designate the target, the problem is that if you just paint the target and leave the UAV, you see the UAV just moves the turret away. So you actually have to just lock the target, activate the laser, use Ctrl-T to lock the target. Then you go to your APC, you effectively switch to the laser guided round, top attack mode, you select your target again. You can see in the small selection box it's actually selected. You fire the missile, switch to the UAV, and then you correct the target by manually correcting the aim. Now we can actually also enable dialog toggle shocks. Now we actually see the marker and see what happens here. Now we can again go to the camera and the UAV, and we see the missile is heading for the laser designator. Now let's play this slowly forward. We can see that the marker is pretty much down here on the side of the vehicle, but the missile overshoots and is heading straight for the turret. Now the missile is going to hit on the side of the turret, penetrating the vehicle, hitting the fuel tanks and the engine, destroying the vehicle with one shot. So the main goal is always to go for the engine block on the vehicle or the center of mass. For some tanks, like the Kuma, it's just enough to go for the center of the turret, but on the T140K you pretty much have to hit the engine like that, and you will destroy the vehicle guaranteed in one shot. Okay, now let's look at a scenario that you can often encounter on many PvP or multiplayer servers. On most servers you have that have access to armored vehicles, you have usually the ability to rearm. This is represented by this ammo container. So in this case we are in the Rhino, we also have access to a UAV terminal and somebody or our UAV to laser it. And we can just look around, search for a vehicle, search for a target. And oh, what do we have there? We have T100 40K. And what are we gonna do now? It's pretty far away, that's at least 7 kilometers. But let's switch to our gunner seat. Hey, we can't see it on our sensor system. What are we gonna do now? Well, we know the missile has 8-kilometer range, so to lock it, we still just need to look in the general direction of the target. So it's somewhere in that direction, and you just press lock key, and you see, you actually receive the lock. You can't see it on your sensor system, but you're still able to lock the target. Now, we can just go ahead and fire a missile. But we still have 4 missiles left, because we instantly rearm the missile thanks to the ammo system. So we can just fire another missile. And we could fire another and another and another, but I know that 2 anti-tank missiles are more than enough to kill the T100 40K. So we're just gonna wait for the missiles now. I will probably speed this up maybe a bit, so we're not gonna wait too long. And the first missile hit already destroyed the vehicle in one shot. We already seen that before, and the second missile still impacts there. We already seen that before, so I don't think we need to inspect it in detail. But yeah, well, I can just go and I don't know, laser paint this house because I saw somebody in there, and I can just fire a missile. And yeah, well, then I can just go and fire another missile, and because I have nothing else to do, I can just fire another missile and another missile, and now I can just go to the UAV terminal, and again I can speed up the time and wait for the first missile to impact, and I can just adjust the target, let another missile shoot there, and because we have nothing else to do, we can wait for another missile to shoot there, and maybe for another missile, I think the last one, to shoot there. Yeah, and with that we hit 4 different targets in a time frame of maybe 10-13 seconds, and those are ATGM missiles, so they can effectively destroy targets very well. And this is the reason why, in my opinion, you need to limit the ammunition supply or the ability of the Rhino to laser target, laser mark targets. Otherwise, you can literally sit from 8 km distance and just shoot. The maximum actually range might be 8 km, but at 7 km the missile starts to run out of fuel and it's pretty much just dropping down. So you will not be able to get a proper top attack at that point. So just above 7 km you will probably need 2 missiles to kill a target. But anything in this radius here is pretty much in my effective attack range. As long as the ammunition, I will be able to pretty much kill everything in that. The only way to effectively counter it is, as you can guess, the weakness that the UAV has to laser paint the target. So if you want to counter it, you have to kill either the spotter or the drone, or you have to prevent the line of sight. So if the drone is, for example, a data drone and cannot fly very high, you can use hills to hide behind, because if you can't laser paint the target, the missile will not be able to hit you, because the missile doesn't know where to fly to. So you can also, for example, use taller buildings, because if you hide behind them and the laser target will not be able to directly paint you, he will not be able to hit you. But as you can guess, if you move over open field like this, there's not a lot of cover there. The Targos actually works too, because it obscures the line of sight of the missile. So it can be very tricky to actually laser paint a target that is hidden inside of those tall grasses. But if you want to move over open terrain, you have to go through the line of fire of the Rhino, and if you can just spam missiles like that, he's more dangerous than a gunship. Because a gunship you can shoot down, but a Rhino, it's still a tank, it's sitting on the ground, and you don't even need to activate the engine. I don't have a heat signature right here, so a missile or a jet will not be able to directly pick me up. And I could even move inside a bunker or a dome and into the forest, into a ditch, and just hide there with my ammo truck and fire missile after missile. And even if somebody tries to push me, this still has a 120mm gun and a commander gun as well, so you can't underestimate this. And this vehicle, as long as it has this big ammo supply and somebody to paint targets, is probably the most overpowered vehicle right now, next to maybe the Sandstormer, NATO artillery. And yeah, I just wanted to point this out and show you the strengths of this vehicle and how insanely overpowered it can be if you have the requirements of somebody laser marking and the unlimited or pretty much unlimited ammunition supply. And yeah, that's pretty much just my word on this. Alright, this was a pretty long video with almost 30 minutes of content, and I explained a lot in detail, so this was also one of my first videos, so if you have some feedback about me, maybe more compact and maybe just summarize some of the details. But yeah, the MGS Rhino is a pretty effective vehicle. It's pretty much a glass cannon. It has not so much ammunition with 12 rounds. It has less than the Slammer or Kuma that come with around 20 or 18 rounds, or the T100 that comes with, I believe, 16 or 14 rounds. And it still has a lot of heat rounds, so against APCs and being very mobile, striking quickly, this APC can be very effective. Against other APCs, it has very good armor, but against other main battle tanks, it usually only takes one hit or maybe 1.5 to take you down. So if you're facing against another tank, do not take the engagement. You will most likely lose as long as you don't have the first shot. Overall, this APC can be also very effective against infantry, but it also, even with caged armor, you have pretty much no chance to survive an anti-tank missile. As long as somebody just doesn't shoot a pretty old RPG at your caged armor, you will most likely die to the first shot. Especially Verona anti-tank, no matter if you have explosive reactive armor or Slat armor, the Verona anti-tank will just rip your vehicle apart and will kill you in one shot. Same goes for Titan top attack mode or just Titan in general. Even the direct mode will fly over your Slat armor and will still destroy you in one shot. So you're pretty lucky if you actually survive anti-tank rounds. You can use this APC as I shown in pretty much two ways, pretty much similar to a main battle tank, pushing forward with your main gun, taking down targets, or you can use it like an artillery and use the ATGM laser guided rounds to strike vehicles on a distance. Of course, as long as you're in the move and you don't have a way to resupply, you're just limited to those 4 missiles. But those 4 missiles can still do a lot of harm. So overall, this vehicle could be a bit faster. For example, the BTR on the upper side is significantly faster in acceleration and overall performance wise, but this vehicle still has good top speed and is definitely a lot more mobile than the Slammer. It has good gun depression, so you can just peek over a mountain hill, get a shot and pull back, and that works very well. So overall, in combination with a nice interior, the smoke screen, the sensor system, the very sloped front armor, this vehicle can be a lot of fun. So yeah, I hope I showed you a bit the tricks and ability of this vehicle and how you can deal with it and how you can play with it. And yeah, if you have any comments about my video here, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. It was me, Yoshi Iyu.